This is it, the halfway stage of MotoE in 2025, and it's a brand new venue. Balaton Park is MotoGP's newest circuit, and Hungary is back on the calendar for 33 years. So it's only fitting that MotoE bolsters this festival of bikes to close off August's action. The first of two MotoE races coming up next. The first race of the Michelin Grand Prix of Hungary weekend is just moments away from starting. And with 6 riders covered by 23 points, MotoE really is tense and unpredictable in 2025. Kiko Giles and Neil Morrison up here in commentary trackside for this one, and our pit lane reporter Elliot York down on the ground getting the stories. Neil, 2025 has seen 5 winners, 10 podium finishers, and now with such a small number of points covering the top 6, it really is anyone's game, and it's very much game on at Balaton.
Yeah, it most certainly is. We had a very interesting qualifying session yesterday with a lot of the big hitters starting from today's races from the front row of the grid, but a couple that struggled in qualifying will be coming through from rows 4 and 5. So I think there's going to be plenty to keep our eyes on, Kiko.
Indeed there will be. The weather has held absolutely perfectly so far today. We have got a little bit of cloud, but besides that, it is rather sunny out there for the riders going around their formation lap and coming to the grid. It has been a whirlwind event, really, hasn't it? Particularly if you're Tibor Erik Varga. He goes from the head of that second row, Neil. He is the home hero. Dare he dream, dare we dream of something special coming up now.
Yeah, dare the tens of thousands of Hungarian fans that have come here to the Balaton Park circuit dream as well. You could make a case for Tibor Erik Varga coming here with a really good chance of scoring a potential home podium. That would be so popular. You mentioned 10 different names on the podium so far in MotoE 2025, and there's 1 or 2 this weekend that look as though they could make it 11 or even 12.
There will be 1 or 2 on this grid right now that think they can make it 11 or 12. It's a new track, Neil. Talk us through some of these key overtaking hotspots and pinch points, because there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, there really is. It's very tight, it's twisty, and it's quite narrow, but there are a few places to overtake on this track, namely down into turn 1, just behind where this camera is looking at the moment. I think you also have opportunities down into turn 5 at the end of the back straight and into the final chicane at turn 15. Those seem to be the 3 hotspots where we're going to have to look out for a lot of the action taking place.
Mattia Casadei it is, though, who goes from pole for the 2nd time this season. Of course, back at Assen, he was also your pole sitter. Race 1 didn't go to plan for him that time, though, did it, Neil? He crashed out very early on. More on that in a moment. 2nd place on the grid, Lorenzo Baldassarri. Career best qualifying. He's down there with Elliott.
Lorenzo, career best qualifying, a front row for the start of this one. How are you feeling ahead of a strong race and yesterday as well?
Yes, for sure, I'm confident to do a good race. I hope for a good show, good battle, and we will see after the first lap to try to get the rhythm and try to go as fast as possible, and we will see what happens.
Good luck to today.
Thank you, thank you.
Give us a wave, El. You're on camera there. Smile, say cheese. On a serious note, Baldassarri, very positive performance in qualifying, his first front row, and he has a real chance of victory here today.
Yeah, you feel it's a bit of an even playing field for the MotoE field coming to a new track, and for a rookie like Lorenzo Baldassarri, that has helped him, no doubt. Really strong performance yesterday when he qualified second, his best MotoE qualifying performance to date. I said it yesterday, he hasn't finished the race outside the top 6 so far this year. Can he keep that consistent run going here today?
Back-to-back front rows for Brazil's Eric Granado, a 3rd front row of the season, and again it's in P3. He's looking to try and mount that podium and maybe take his first win of the season.
Yeah, he was in the fight in both races in Austria. He'll be kicking himself for that mistake late on the last lap in race 2, which cost him a potential 3rd position, if not better. But once again put himself in a good position to launch from the inside of the front row.
Tibor Erik Varga is there in 4th place, and we're going to have a look at him very soon indeed. The 5-minute board goes up and you can hear the crowd. They are very, very excited for this one, and they have good reason to be, because Tibor Varga is from Debrecen in Hungary. He's not from the country's capital, Budapest, but only 18 years of age. He has previously been in NTC and has had good success there, and now he is looking to try and add MotoE to his string of successes. And from the head of that second row, well, it would be something just so special if he can pull this one off. It is a career best qualifying, and therefore a best qualifying for his country in this class.
Yeah, absolutely. And he comes here on the back of a really positive weekend in Austria a week ago, where he scored 6th and 4th places in race 1 and race 2. Can he add to that tally? And here he is on the grid. I guess handling the pressure and the home expectation is going to be key to Tibor Erik Varga's performance here today.
The fans are right behind him as well. You can hear just in the distance some chanting there. They are really going to be looking to see if Tibor Erik Varga can live up to the home expectations. He is the only Hungarian on any grid this weekend, and it is going to be a huge victory, even if it's just the podium. You can see there are all of the Tibor Erik Varga fans with the flags in the air. They really do care if he pulls this one off.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 47, they've made it their own. Tibor Erik Varga counting on some home support here this weekend, and he'll be heading Nicola Spinelli and Alessandro Zacconi on row 2.
Worth noting that, yes, Tibor Erik Varga did steal the headlines for Riva Coal Snipers team, but it is 4 and 5 for them on the grid. Spinelli with his second best qualifying of the season, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. But the front row will be Eric Renato in 3rd, Lorenzo Baldassari and Mattia Casadei starting for pole position for the 2nd time this year.
Yes, and Casadei has previous experience. Can he make it count? He's already bagged pole. Anything more? As we get ready then for 3 minutes in MotoE countdown to race 1. The grid is coming up with Mattia Casadei, Lorenzo Baldassari and Eric Granado leading the charge down towards turn 1, and it is going to be a tricky turn 1. Hold your breath on the way down. Tibor Erik Varga, Spinelli and Alessandro Zacconi, Neil, as you say, completing that second row. Matteo Ferrari, your double winner from last time out, he was only 3rd, then you're on the 3rd row in 7th, and on the 4th row, double podium last time out, failing to come through Q1, our reigning champion Hector Garzo. All the way back to Maria Herrera on the middle of the 6th row, Tommaso Occhi completing the order. You're in the company of myself, Kiko Giles, Neil Morrison alongside me up here in commentary. Elliot York is somewhere down on the ground. He's probably in pit lane now, waiting to see exactly who he's going to be speaking to come the end of these 8 laps here for the first ever race at Balaton Park as part of the Grand Prix paddock.
Yeah, and Casadei was on pole position yesterday, but more significantly, I feel, he was 0.6 of a second faster than everybody in yesterday afternoon's practice session. So I do think Casadei has the pace to go and maybe escape at the front if he can get a good start.
You can see the wind is picking up. El, down to you for a last word and, of course, a prediction.
Yeah, you mentioned the wind. I was going to mention that as well. It's not as strong as yesterday, but it is blowing directly into turn 1. We know that turn 1 is very tight, so watch out for that at the start. And, of course, the fast right-handers, they're blowing in towards that as well, so watch out for that. Something to look out for in this race. Prediction? Oh, I'm going to go Tibor. Why not?
Oh, I tell you what, I wouldn't normally join up with you for a prediction, but I will this time. I'm part of the Tibor Erik Varga prediction police here up here in comms. Neil, are you going to make it a hat-trick?
Yes, of course I am. I'm going to make it 3 from 3. Tibor Erik Varga all the way.
That's 3 pints of Varga, please, when you're ready then. As we get ready to go for MotoE Race 1, just less than 1 minute to go now as the grid clears, and we will be underway with this one. Mattia Casadei, I said he has previous experience. World Supersport, of course, have already been here with the World Superbike paddock.
Yeah, and you feel that that is something that has stood him in good stead this weekend. 1 or 2 other names in the championship fight that haven't been able to call upon previous experience at this track. The likes of Hector Garzo done in 11th. And yeah, you're going to have to keep your eyes posted for row 4, Garzo and Zanoni coming from there. Also, row 5, Andrea Mantovani, championship leader, launching from row 5.
Yeah, Andrea Mantovani, championship leader by 8 points, has had a nightmare so far in round 4. Okay, we are getting ready then. Balaton Park, let's see what you've got for us as the red lights will come on, and when they go out, we go green in MotoE, and it is a good start from the middle of that front row by Lorenzo Baldassarri, who is side by side with Mattia Casadei. But look at Eric Tibor Varga. Varga is going to lead. He's got the first hold shot here in Hungary. He misses the apex by a mile, but it doesn't matter. He's already made the headlines up through turns 1 and 2. It's so tight and tricky, but they're all safely through. Now turn 3, and it's the long turn 4 before the back straight. Lorenzo Baldassarri, good start from him. Second place for Eric Renardo. Third for Tibor Varga, who's already looking like he wants a scrap. And Mattia Casadei, your pole sitter, down to 4th. Up the inside, down in towards turn 2, and the crowd are whistling, and they've got a reason to. Tibor Varga has made up another place, and I think he holds it. Coming through turn 6, the Hungarian home hero is up into 2nd.
Yeah, you have to imagine his aggression off the line. And someone has gone down in the background. You can see yellow flags in sector 2.
That's going to be a big one through turn 7 and 8. We saw a couple of them down in the MotoGP qualifying session. Paul Espargaro was one of them, and the other one was Pedro Acosta, and now Jordi Torres joins the turn 7 and 8 club, and that would have been a big one. There's a lot of momentum on these MotoE machines, Neil.
Yep, absolutely. Looks as though he has gone down with Luca Bernardi, so let's hope that that pair that has crashed out are okay, because that was a fast one, if it was indeed at turn number 7.
It looked like it was to me. It sounded pretty fast as well. So Jordi Torres is definitely out of it, and so is Luca Bernardi, and that's such a shame.
Someone else!
Who is that? Someone else has gone down. That's Tibor Varga, I think, who has gone down. We are going to have a bit of a red flag situation coming here. That didn't look very pretty at all. It was Tibor Varga, because the sole remaining 29 of Nicola Spinelli is the other Riva Cold Snipers team. So that would look like quite a big one coming out of turn 14. Across the line and 1 lap done. Lorenzo Baldassarri ahead of Matteo Ferrari, and Mattia Casadei was another one who went down there with Tibor Varga. So that was quite a big dramatic opening lap, Neil, here at the Balaton Park circuit.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Let's hope that everyone is okay. That looked like a big one for the home hero, Tibor Erik Varga. He was trying to make up ground on Lorenzo Baldassarri, who was escaping at the front to the tune of half a second through sector 3 when Varga had a crash, and it looks as though Mattia Casadei has maybe been caught up in that incident as well. We didn't see what happened, and we do have a red flag. A red flag is shown after a pretty chaotic first lap here at the Balaton Park circuit, and yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed that everyone is okay.
That had to happen, because Tibor Varga didn't look in a fantastic way, bouncing through the gravel there on the exit of turn 14, and with a bike tumbling through as well. I'm not too surprised about the red flag, but also turn 7 and 8, they are fast places to crash around here, and as I said, the MotoE bikes, they do have quite a bit of weight and momentum, and one of those flying through the gravel is going to need a little bit of attention. There's a special procedure here for the bikes in MotoE if they do crash and get a bit damaged to be recovered. You can see on the top of that graphic, red flag incident at turn 14. That is the specific reason for this red flag. We haven't been told that Mattia Casadei has actually crashed on the left-hand side timing tower. It came up in a little block on the right-hand side, a shot, but Mattia Casadei is right at the back. He's down in 15th place. I think he's just flashed through the shot as well, so he is back up on his wheels. Yeah.
I think that Casadei must have run off track and taken some avoiding action as we come up into the final chicane. I'm guessing that Tibor Erik Varga had a high side coming out of turn 13 onto turn 14, that long left that leads round to the final chicane, and well, the trackside marshals are giving him the best possible attention that he could receive at this current time. And let's just hope that he's okay. We heard it in our headsets. We heard that horrible sound of his rear tire stepping out. And yeah, let's just hope that the home hero, who started so aggressively and really showed a willingness to get stuck in on that first lap, is going to be okay.
It doesn't make it any easier, of course, for Tibor Erik Varga. Hopefully he's all right, but he had a brilliant start to that one. I really hope that he is all right indeed. Turn 1, he was already stealing the headlines, and to grab the whole shot in the first ever race here at Balaton Park. Now that is a fantastic notification. Medical director, all riders conscious. So Tibor Erik Varga, a big accident for him, and I'm fairly sure that he will not be making any restart here, and of course will be subject to confirmation for race 2 later. But all riders conscious is the best possible news after all of that, particularly Tibor Erik Varga, who, you know, home hero, pushing on at home, and has obviously just had an incident coming through turn 14. Now, this is our first look at it. This is 14 here. Varga is the... Oh, he lost it coming out. That's a big high side, and I just wonder if Mattia Casadei... Oh, dear me, Mattia Casadei has to go gravel tracking through there, and I think just about avoided Timo Erik Varga, who was spinning into the gravel. Maybe perhaps Varga being caught up by the bike there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Casadei clipped the Hungarian rider there. That was an ugly fall, and obviously that is one of the scariest things that can happen when you crash at the front of a big group of riders on the first lap. But great to hear that Timo Erik Varga is at least conscious and currently receiving medical attention. So the race was red flagged before 3 laps were completed, which means we're going to have a new race with the quick start procedure, as you can see on our screens, and we will have a new race distance over the shortened 4 laps. So what was already a bit of a sprint is going to become a bit of an all-out brawl, I think.
It is going to be a real fisticuffs, isn't it, here in MotoE Race 1. 3 laps not completed. That's why we get the shortened distance there, as you correctly say, Neil, and that's going to make the start even more important. It's less time to come through the field, particularly if you're the likes of the number 9, Andrea Mantovani, back on the 5th row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Less time for a whole host of big hitters to make their way through the grid. And yeah, just further confirmation of that news that we will have a new race over 4 laps. Still unsure as to when that will get underway, but any news that we get, we will relay it on to you at the first chance. So I guess it was... I mean, it was a bit of a crazy, chaotic start, wasn't it? It wasn't a brilliant getaway from the pole sitter Mattia Casadei just there, but Lorenzo Baldassarri absolutely nailed his start and managed to get Varga on the cutback through turn number 1, and then he had his head down and was absolutely away.
He was indeed, and I think the thing for Baldassarri is he got it absolutely... We're going to have a look at it here. He got it absolutely nailed, straight line, no lift at all, and Baldassarri just absolutely letting the brakes off. You can see the 47 of Timo Erik Varga. He's got himself in some clear air. He's a bit on the extreme inside, that's why he runs wide, but he does grab the whole shot, and you can see, look at Eric Granado, how close he is to tagging, if he didn't tag, Lorenzo Baldassarri there through the first turn. You see how tight it is, and there's only a short boost of power up towards turn 2, then it's all back on the anchors again. But very well done to all of the MotoE guys and girls out there to get through cleanly at least the first couple of corners. This is on board with our championship leader Andrea Mantovani.
Yeah, Mantovani starting from way deep in the field, 15th position, and you can see just how tight it is there into turn number 1. Then on the cutback into turn 2, he's trying to take a wider line. One of the SICK 58 bikes is lucky not to have serious contact with another rider just up ahead, and then we're down into turn 4. Mantovani already making some decent moves at this early stage, and then we're on our way down into turn number 5, and then this is where we saw our first incident of the first lap. We are hopeful also that Luca Bernardi and Jordi Torres are okay after their crash, which I think happened down at turn 7, which is on the first of the 2 fast right-handers.
And these are all the MotoE machines coming back through, of course. Hector Garzo, one of the riders that will probably not be enjoying a shortened race distance over the course of 4 laps. However, at the front of the field, of course, you have Mattia Casadei, who will be able to kind of go from that pole position and have another stab at the the whole shot. You can see up at the top of your screen, race direction, all riders eligible for the restart, as less than 3 laps had been completed. Well, that is fairly obvious. It all depends on the conditions of the bikes. Let's just go down to Elliot York. El, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I'm just stood with the LCR E-Team and Mattia Casadei. Some damage on the left-hand side of the bike, especially on the front mudguard as well. They actually struggled to get the tyre warmers back on. They've just been playing around with that on the front end, and they've had to replace the left-hand side foot peg as well. But other than that, it doesn't look like there's too much damage. Mainly issue is with that front end. Casadei obviously quite upset and annoyed when he came back into the box, and yeah, everything's cooled down now. A little bit of damage on that front end, but it looks like Casadei shouldn't have too many issues if and when we get restarted. I've spoke to officials, no time confirmed yet. I'm sure you've got the same info in the box, gents. So as soon as I hear more info, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, thanks very much for that update, Elliot. And I guess the biggest challenge for Mattia Casadei after an incident like that is just to try and get his head back into the game, because there's no doubt you're a human being. You're going to be shaken up a little bit by that, but how close you came to a rider that crashed just in front of you. Obviously, he managed to do well to save the bike running through the gravel, but seeing a crash up close like that and then having to take avoiding action just afterwards, that is going to make you a little wary, I think, going into the restart. So understandable, I think, if Mattia Casadei was a little shaken coming back into the box, and now it's going to be a big challenge for him to get his head back into the game for this restart.
And it was a very, very big one by the looks of it for Tibor Erik Varga. I suppose I suggest that he had a high side and went out over the top before obviously Mattia Casadei had to take avoiding action, because Varga was seemed clear enough of anyone coming behind. But we'll obviously wait and not speculate too much more on Tibor Erik Varga, but we have had the notification that all riders involved in the incidents across the course of lap 1 are conscious, and that is the best possible news. Of course, any riders that need further examinations or treatment will be taken to hospital as part of a routine procedure. But at the moment, we are just in a pause here. The crowd are watching on in anticipation for the restart here of MotoE Race 1. We have had confirmation it'll be over 4 laps, but we don't know exactly when. Good to see Jordi Torres has made it back to the pitch. You can see Nico Tirol on the right-hand side of shot. So MotoE's Jordi Torres is back, but of course, if he has crashed down at turn 7 and 8, Neil, there will be no bike that is usable for him. So it's a big rebuild job probably for the Power Electronics Aspar MotoE squad.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have, and we can see that Tibor Erik Varga will be taken to hospital for further examination. That has just come in from the medical director, and not really surprising considering the images that we've seen. So yeah, as we've stated before, let's just hope and cross our fingers that the Hungarian, the home hero, is okay after such an ugly crash. And yeah, the fact that he won't be taking part in this restart, that is pretty low down on the priority order as it stands.
It is, but also Tibor Erik Varga, of course, he will be in the best possible hands. And this is, as I said, a routine procedure. Any riders that do need further examination or checking up, they are put to the right place. And thankfully here in Balaton Park, it's been quite a quick turnaround from the moment of the crash to where Tibor Erik Varga will be going next. Down to pit lane. El, who have you got for us?
Yeah, I'm just stood next to Jordi. Jordi, good to see you're okay. We didn't quite see the crash on screen. Just talk to us what happened on the opening lap.
I do the turn 6 and I enter to the 7. This corner you entry with a full throttle. And when I do the change direction, I lost completely the front tire. It's impossible to avoid because you can manage nothing, only the angle, but you need to be very aggressive on this change direction, and I lose the front. Same like Bernardi. Bernardi was maybe 3 meters ahead of me, and we do the same movement together. We lost the front tire in this change direction. Sometimes happens this year. It's difficult to manage, but we'll see what happens in race 2.
Has this been a problem throughout the season with the front tyre, and do you know what caused it? Was it cold tyre, or was it just something that came out of the blue sort of thing?
I think it's for a compound. Maybe it's difficult to put temperature to the rubber, but yes, in this track we don't have too many problems because the asphalt is new, and you know it's also hot, but you never know.
How are you feeling after the crash? All okay and hopefully ready for race 2?
100%, I'm still okay, and I push in the race 2 to improve our result. That is not difficult.
Good to hear, Jordi, and good to see you back in pit lane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Elliot, and thanks to Jordi Torres. Great to hear that the Spaniard is okay. Interesting to hear also what happened. Quite a few MotoE riders have been talking about how difficult it is with the Michelin front tyre this year, how kind of on a knife edge they feel sometimes when they're in heavy braking zones, and there with a quick change of direction it seemed as though that was the undoing from going from left to right, turn 6 into turn 7, and it sounds as though they were quite fortunate in that they didn't actually collect each other. They had their own separate incidents, and both fell foul to that kind of front tyre being on the knife edge.
Yeah, both of those incidents will be investigated. I'm sure if there was any issue with that front tyre, but it is something that they've spoke about right the way throughout the course of this 2025 season. I can tell you pit lane will open at 12:13 local time. That seems off to me because we're at 12:24 local time. I wonder if that's 12:30 or if it's a 12:24 local time. As you can see though, the incident site at turn 14 has been cleared. That sounds better. Pit lane opens at 12:30 local time. 4 laps will be the schedule for that, so we will be a little bit behind going into Moto 3, but for Moto 3 qualifying a little bit later on, you can join Lewis Sotheby and Neil alongside me for that one. But Moto E will get underway again at 12:30, and they will hope that hopefully this time the first lap is all clean and above board and there's no such dramas like we've just seen.
Yeah, and it will be a reduced field, because I'm assuming that Luca Bernardi will not be taking part either, because it was a fast crash for him down at turn 7. It means that we're going to be missing 3 riders in the restart, and you can hear a round of applause coming from the grandstands. I think that's as the fans see the ambulance taking Tibor Eric Varga to the local hospital. And obviously it was a narrow escape for Mattia Casadei, the pole sitter, in that incident at turn 14. We're going to pass down to Elliot, who's in pit lane with his team manager Lucio Cecchinello, to see how he is for the restart.
Yeah, certainly am, Lucio. What did Mattia say when he came back to pit lane? Looked like a big crash for Tibor, and Mattia got caught up in it as well.
Yeah, he said that basically it wasn't his fault, and he's quite annoyed with Varga, but this is part of racing. He went in the gravel very high speed. Fortunately, didn't crash. So now we are looking forward to see with this very sprint 4 laps race.
What was the damage? I saw you guys, or the mechanics, changing the front mudguard and the foot lever as well. Was there anything else going on with the Ducati that needs repairing?
We had the left footrest and the plate and pedal broken. We had the front fender bracket bended, but we fixed it. So everything was ready here, and I'm quite pleased, because also we were lucky, because it could be have been much worse.
And just in front of us is Eric. How's he feeling ahead of the race? He's looked really strong, considering, of course, the injury troubles he's had this year. He's been in really good form.
It was a really good form. All the winter tests and everything was perfect. Unfortunately, in Le Mans, he had a crash, and then he has been hit by another bike. He broke his tibia and fibula. Now he's still under recovery process, but we are quite pleased, because finally, he's back in the speed, and he's back in the game. He did also podium in the last race in Austria, in race 1 of the MotoE, and then now we hope to finally put both riders in the podium, but the competitiveness of the other rider are quite strong.
Thank you for your time, Lucio. Good luck for race 1 and 2, and enjoy the MotoE sprint that we've got coming up.
Absolutely, thank you.
Cheers, guys, both to Lucio and El, and good to hear that we have Eric Granado back to some kind of form. Of course, he was the lead LCRE team machine up there on that opening start to this MotoE race. So Eric Granado, he will definitely be fancying his chances as well.
Yeah, he definitely will. He got away to a decent start as well, was in that kind of fight for a second before the red flags came out. And I guess Lorenzo Baldassarri will be thinking, I have to do it all over again, because he nailed that first lap absolutely to perfection, got his braking just right down into turn number 1, and then was able to avoid some of the chaos behind him, and build up a really decent advantage by the time they came round to finish that first lap. So Baldassarri, I'm sure, will be a little bit frustrated that he has to do it all again, but at least safe in the knowledge that he's done it once, and if he's done it once, he can do it again for sure.
Casadei will be looking to repeat what Lorenzo Baldassarri was able to do. It wasn't the best start for Mattia Casadei. It's not a long run down to turn 1, but it's long enough that if you're not on an ideal track position, you can be pushed out.
Yeah. Yep, some of the MotoGP riders were saying yesterday, if you miss your braking marker by even 2 meters, then it's going to have fairly serious consequences for what you can do in that chicane. You're going to miss the first apex, and then you're going to make a complete mess of the chicane and lose 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. And we saw that countlessly in some of the sessions that we've had so far this weekend. And yeah, just I think riding within your limits and just making sure that everything's nice and clean is actually going to be probably the best way to approach the racing here this weekend.
And of course, if you get to the front, then you can control it a little bit as well, and in that way defense can be the best form of attack, because you're suckering people in and they're the ones that make the mistake. You are within your limits now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have quite a few straights here, but most of them are just about short enough to not really offer the riders behind the chance to get in your slipstream and make a real play on the brakes. And if they do make a play, then it has to be a bit of a lunge. So it's set up for what is going to be a pretty epic and breathless 4 laps, I feel, here, Kiko. Obviously, you can see the pit lane is open and it will close in 50 seconds. It looks as though everyone will be making it out in time.
Indeed, this is on board with Andrea Mantovani as he goes down towards turn 1. So what we'll have here is they'll be met by one mechanic on the grid for this quick start procedure, and then they'll clear, and then we will be going green pretty soon. We're talking about 3 minutes, probably by the 3 or 4 minutes by the time they come round to complete this formation lap. And this is Mattia Casadei coming through turn 4. Now he will be wanting to make a better start of it. He can't afford to drop down to 4th again here in race 1 for MotoE.
Yeah, and prior to the first race start, I did mention that he was head and shoulders above everybody else yesterday in practice. He was about 6/10 clear of the second fastest rider, which give you an indication as to Casadei's strength. So if he can nail the start, I am fairly confident that he can maybe open up a bit of a buffer to some of the riders behind.
The other thing here, Neil, is that there's going to be some gaps on the grid as well. Now that's going to give people some space, but it can also mean that the riders do get a bit carried away down in towards turn 1, and we've already negotiated it cleanly once, turn 1 and turn 2 really. So to do it again, I think we'll be doing very, very well, because it is tight down there.
Yeah, it really is. You can see some of these chicanes here. They really are quite slow and tight. And we come around to the end of this sighting lap. This is going to act as a bit of a warm-up lap to the MotoE riders, which they normally don't have.
They're coming through 15 and 16. The tricky thing is with this as well is that they've only really done one flying lap, racing lap. This is not a track they're accustomed to going absolutely hell for leather at, with bikes all around them. Qualifying's one thing, but races are so often the other. Of course, there's not too much noise here in the MotoE grid, but it's still, you've got to get familiar with your surroundings, and a new track, that could be difficult when someone's blocking you or trying to pass you up the inside. Mattia Casadei is on pole position then. That's just before we do go down, before we do get underway with this, you've seen the grid before. We have no Luca Bernardi, Tibor Eric Varga or Jordi Torres. So, El, I'll throw it back down to you. A new prediction, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, a new prediction. We wish Tibor well, of course. I'm going to go for Eric Granado. Lucio Cecchinolo picked him up just then in the interview, and I think he's due a win, so I'm going to go for Eric.
Okay, Neil, I'll pass over to your expertise.
Lorenzo Baldassarri, after what I saw just before the red flag, he looks pretty good.
I am going to go Casadei to convert pole, but we'll have to wait and see. MotoE, red lights on. The race 1 restart is underway. It's a better start from Casadei. He's got the drop on Lorenzo Baldassarri this time. Does Baldassarri fancy it on the brakes? He thinks about it, but thinks better of it. Up into P4, that's one of the Aruba machines, and it is of course Zacconi, because he's the only one remaining here in this one, but it is Casadei who leads. Coming through Matteo Ferrari, well that was a bit ruthless. Coming up the inside, I think that was of Jacopo Hosjuk, so a very, very good start indeed from Hosjuk, but coming down all the way towards the turn 5, heavy braking, it is Casadei from Baldassarri. Granado's got it crossed up, but just about gets it stopped. Oh, that's tight. That was Hector Garzo trying to come through on Hosjuk, but couldn't. 6, 7 and 8 is just as quick as that.
Yeah, and let's hope that everyone can get through these two fast right-handers of turn 7 and turn 8. Unlike the last time, it looks as though everyone has managed to do so. Kevin Zanoni has jumped up into 9th position after qualifying 12th, so he's made up 3 positions. Garzo, you can see, is a little bit wide down there into turn number 9, but it is Casadei already gapping Lorenzo Baldassarri to the tune of 0.3 of a second out at the front.
Very good stuff indeed from Mattia Casadei, but will he be able to hold it all together for the entirety of this race? It is only 4 laps, but stringing 4 laps together has been a challenge here at Balaton Park because it's so difficult to get in any kind of rhythm. This is Andrea Mantovani down the order, 11th place as he comes through turn 14. He's made up a few positions by virtue of 3 riders not taking the restart. So Andrea Mantovani in a world of trouble downfield, and there's a bit of trouble down at turn 15 and 16. That was Zacconi who was trying to come through on Ferrari and managed to successfully do that. Spinelli is 6th, then it's Hosjuk Garzo and Kevin Zanoni in 9th place. Gutierrez rounding out to your top 10, but Casadei leads, Baldassarri 2nd, and Eric Granado your front row as it is and as it was.
Yeah, and you can see Zacconi making a bit of a mess of turn 15 in hot, and then that really cost him through turn 16 as well. That allowed Ferrari to close up a little bit on him just behind. It's been a good first lap for Matteo Ferrari, who's managed to gain 1 position off the grid, jump from 7th up into 5th, and he is closing onto the back of his compatriot up ahead, but there's already a decent gap to the front 3, and as you can see, 0.6 of a second separate first and second.
Yeah, but it is close for 2nd and 3rd, as you can see, with Granado there trying to come through on Lorenzo Baldassarri. 1, 2 and 3 as quick as that, but the big battle here, Zacconi is 4th, but then it is Ferrari, and Spinelli is being shuffled along here by Jacopo Hosjuk. This is the best we've seen of the Romanian rider in 2025 thus far.
Yeah, he had his best qualifying yesterday in 9th, and he's having his best race performance, I feel, so far in this one, even though it is just 2 laps in. Remember, a 4-lap sprint, a shortened race distance, which means there are only 3 laps to go, even if we're only on lap number 2. But already Casadei is making this look as though this race is his.
This is Hosjuk trying to come by Spinelli, but can't quite get it done. 0.6 of a second is the gap out front for Casadei at the moment. They come through the penultimate chicane, this one is, as they come through 14 now, and then it's down towards turn 15, 16 and 17, that final complex. Casadei got a rear wheel twitching around there. He'll be careful not to make the same mistake he's made twice already this year, Neil. That's been crashing out of the lead. He's safely through so far, but Lorenzo Baldassarri has always come good at the end of races, so he's halfway through this one. Only 2 laps remain in a shortened MotoE race 1.
Yeah, and the fastest rider on track is actually Eric Granado, who is about 0.2 of a second faster than Casadei up ahead. So it's not quite an escape act from Casadei up at the front, as we see some movement back in the pack.
Hosjuk up into 6th. That would be a career best by... Oh, no, it won't be, because he's dropped it just as I speak. Commentators curse. Jacopo Hosjuk has checked out at turn 2, and that is a real shame. He'll have another chance to do it later on in race 2, but race 1 ends in a gravel for the Romanian.
Yeah, desperate disappointment on the cusp of a best ever result in the MotoE category. Was moving forward as well was Hosjuk towards that fight with Matteo Ferrari. Alessandro Zacconi just up ahead, but he realised when he went to his bike that there's no point getting it back up and running. He's out of this one.
He is indeed, and that gap up at the front is half a second. Baldassarri is slowly but surely working his way onto the rear wheel here at Casadei.
Yeah, it was 0.5 of a second across the line. It's down to 0.3 of a second through split number 2. You can see it visibly on your screens as they come around this tight hairpin at turn number 11, and Baldassarri is closing in on his fellow Italian up ahead.
Yeah, this is going to be one for the final lap grandstands to be applauding. Track limits warning coming up there for Baldassarri, but he won't be worried about that just yet. He can't be doing it too many more times, but Lorenzo Baldassarri is building all the way here. Granado is 3rd and was your fastest of the front 3 last time around, and he's very good in this last sector, Eric Granado. Looks like he was being held up a little bit by Baldassarri there, but they come through turn 17 for the penultimate time, and when they cross the line, it's his last lap time here, MotoE in race 1.
Yeah, and I have to say, this is looking more like a race than I was expecting. This time, 1 lap ago, as we see the fastest lap coming in from Zacconi in 4th position. So they're all bunching up together at the front of this field.
Casadei leads them through 1 and 2. He's got to be so careful not to blow this one. Mattia Casadei, he's lost 50 points from race-winning positions in 2025. He doesn't want to be 75 points down on what he could have had. But look at Lorenzo Baldassari. He's tall, and those long levers are working wonders through the first sector. He's got a little bit of slipstream all the way down this back straight into turn 5. It's easy to outbrake yourself, but Lorenzo Baldassari is looking comfortable in P2. He is looking at P1 through the S's.
Yeah, absolutely. And Baldassari has the pressure of Eric Granado hot on his heels as well. You can see the Brazilian maybe just struggling through this sector to stay with the rider ahead, but Granado very much is in the hunt as well. 2nd, 3rd and 4th were all faster than Mattia Casadei last time around, Kiko.
Casadei's going to have big problems here. Baldassari's so good on the corner entry into the chicanes. This is turn 11, the long left-handed hairpin where the long lap penalty is should anyone do anything a bit silly out there. But at the moment, Casadei's holding on and Lorenzo Baldassari's running out of opportunities.
Yeah, he really is. As we said, there's not so many opportunities to pass on this tight Balaton Park circuit. As you can see them coming around turn number 14 and then up towards this final chicane. Maybe this is an opportunity on the final lap if he's close enough, but he's certainly not close enough this time around.
Oh, he really let the brakes off though, didn't he? Into 15, 16 here. There's no opportunity really at 17. Mattia Casadei is going to return to winning ways here. A red flagged race 1 goes the way of the number 40. Mattia Casadei is back on top. Baldassari with a podium in his career best, MotoE finish in 2nd, and Eric Granado returns to the rostrum in 3rd. Zacconi 4th, and your double winner from Austria, Matteo Ferrari, finishes in 5th.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Casadei. He did just what was necessary to win that race, with Baldassari 0.3 of a second faster than him on the final lap. But you feel that Casadei was just managing it, and he brings home his 2nd victory of 2025. A really timely one after a bit of a disaster in Austria.
And Andrea Mantovani can only salvage 10th place, so that is a massive 19-point swing in the favour of Casadei. He's going to have to do some more of that later on, but at the moment he can just be happy with a 19-point advantage in race 1 over Andrea Mantovani. This is Lorenzo Baldassari, career best P2, as we said. Very strong stuff indeed from the number 7, looking to do it again later, if not improved by a place.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Baldassari. The best we've seen of him so far this year in MotoE. He has had 1 podium previously. That was back in race 2 at Assen, but we haven't quite seen him fighting for victory, and he very much did that in that encounter. He really did give Mattia Casadei a bit of a hard time on that final lap, but Casadei, you feel, was maybe just managing things on that final circuit. Baldassari, though, certainly made a race of it.
He did indeed, and I think 1 more lap and he'd have definitely had a go of it, Neil. And the exciting thing is we've got 8 laps hopefully later on to see if Lorenzo Baldassari is able to mount a challenge for his first MotoE win. Another podium though for Eric Granado. He's still not at full fitness, but that'll do pretty well.
Yeah, racking up a decent little run of podiums, or at least he would have done if he hadn't crashed out in the final lap in race 2 in Austria last weekend. But 3rd in race 1 in Austria 1 week ago, and now 3rd in race 1 here in Hungary as well. Eric Granado, his speed is certainly without question. We've always been saying this, going all the way back to 2019 when MotoE first came into existence. But that consistency still somewhat lacking for the Brazilian.
It is indeed. The thing is, as well, further back, Jordi Torres' absence from this race means that he now falls behind Mattia Casadei, your winner here from race 1, and likewise Matteo Ferrari, another point scoring finish on the board for him. That's 5 in a row, but still his only podiums were his double win last time out, but still consistent. So Matteo Ferrari hopefully trying to get in amongst that podium fight later on today. Oh, look at this. Alessandro Zacconi has been demoted 1 position due to exceeding track limits on the last lap. I thought Matteo Ferrari had come across the line in 5th, and I've just seen him go up to 4th in our timing tower up here in comms. So 4th it is for Matteo Ferrari. He didn't even have to work for that pass.
Easiest 4th place he's ever earned. Yeah, so Zacconi showing just the perils of touching the green, the paint on the outside of the white line on that final lap. But because Ferrari was so close behind him, he is forced to drop one position. So a bit of a sickener there for Zacconi, and that will be pretty crucial for his championship charge because, well, he is still very much in the midst of the championship fight, but he is now 3 points back of Mantovani rather than just being 1 point back. It's
amazing that Andrea Mantovani is still leading this championship after this one here. We are down there in the LCR Honda the LCR MotoE team camp, I should say, getting carried away. Eric Granado there just explaining to Lucio Cecchinello how the race went. You can see the new schedule for Moto3 qualifying 1 will be coming up at 10 to 1, and that's in 7 minutes time. 13:15 for qualifying 2. We will be coming off the air very, very soon here from MotoE race 1, but MotoE race 2 kicks off at 4 o'clock, and you can join myself and Neil for that one. But Park Ferme, P1 for Casadei, second for Balda, and third for Eric Granado.
Yeah, and Casadei is now close to within a whisker of the championship lead. We have Kiko 5 points separate in the top 4 in the MotoE World Championship as it stands. Mantovani, Casadei, Zacconi and Baldassarri all really within a proper fighting chance of taking this year's crown. Matteo Ferrari, 78 points. He is, what, 16 back of the summit? Not exactly a million miles away, with still half the season to play.
I think we've definitely got a big group of 5 up there, haven't we? Jordi Torres has been there in the opening couple of rounds, but has not really capitalised on it last time out at the Red Bull Ring, and of course crashed out earlier on. And Hector Garzo only coming through for 7th, so the Balaton Park circuit not one of Garzo's favourites.
Yeah, that much was clear yesterday when he qualified down in 11th. And obviously because of the red flag and the stoppage, we're running just a little bit behind schedule, so therefore we're not going to have any interviews in Park Ferme as normal, and these riders will be taken up straight directly to the podium ceremony. So we will hopefully get a chance to speak to the top 3 after race 2.
Race results: Mattia Casadei, Lorenzo Baldassarri and Eric Granado, your top 3, ahead of Matteo Ferrari, Alessandro Zacconi and Nicola Spinelli. 5 Italians up in the top 6. Eric Granado, the only rider who is in the is able to get ahead of all of the Italians. As you can see, coming through for the riders' standings, Andrea Mantovani, he leads a pack of Italians. It's 5 in the top 5, but he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth. 3 points the difference. Mantovani and Casadei. Zacconi also tied on that 91. Our best wishes to Timo Eric Varga, who of course dropped a place in championship standings because Eric Granado moves up, but we hope that the Hungarian home hero is none the worse after his incident earlier on today, which brought out the race 1 red flag. Dynavolt's Intact GP lead the way by 11 points over the LCR E team, 152 points versus 141. The Power Electronics Aspar team completing your top 3. But that is all. MotoE Race 1 in the end a little bit delayed, and we are away with this one. Casadei is your winner. Myself, Kiko Giles and Neil Morrison taking you through the coverage later on. And for Race 2, Lewis Sotheby though jumping in the hot seat for Moto3 qualifying.